Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss the chapter vectors. So it is one of the fundamental concept of physics. Unless you do not know the concept of vector, you will not be knowing how to add velocity, acceleration, force. So we have to study vectors. So before you start, a couple of the basics we'll go through. A couple of the basic concepts. So So you can see all physical quantities are divided into two categories, scalars and vectors. For some physical quantities, we do not need direction. So scalars have only magnitude. So those physical quantities which have only magnitude are known as scalars, like mass, time, distance, speed, etc. Vectors have both magnitude and direction. So for some physical quantity, we need direction to be mentioned. So these physical quantities are known as vectors. For example, displacement, velocity, acceleration, force, etc. So it keeps on coming as your syllabus progresses. You keep on knowing about different physical quantities which are vectors and scalars. So what about scalars, addition and subtraction? Scalars are added, subtracted, multiplied by simple laws of algebra. Since they are adding, subtracting and multiplied by simple laws of algebra, we do not study much about scalars because we know the algebraic addition. And vectors are added, subtracted, multiplied by some definite laws. Because they have some specific laws, we have to study how to add and multiply vectors, basically the two things. So these are the fundamentals we have. Then we focus more on vectors now. So in physics, vectors is represented by a directed line segment. You can see this arrow, right? So this arrow represents a vector. So the length of the line is the magnitude of the vector, and arrow shows the direction. So if arrow is from left to right, direction is from left to right. So basically right now it is horizontal direction. So with arrow we can show in which direction vector is acting. So vector have two things, both magnitude and directions. Both we can achieve through a directed line segment, right? Then the magnitude of a vector is written as mod of vector A, and is read as mod or magnitude of vector A. So basically, when we say mod of vector A, we actually mean by the magnitude of vector A, and it can simply be written as A also. And one of the important types of vector in physics is unit vector. A vector whose magnitude is unit is known as unit vector. So this means so basically we write unit vector with cap symbol. So if n is a unit vector, then n cap is the representation. So from today onward, if you see anywhere cap is written, this means that represents a unit vector. A unit vector has unit magnitude. So magnitude of unit vector is unit. Why we need unit vector? For a very specific purpose in physics, to show the direction of any other vector. A unit vector is used to show the direction of another vector. How it is? So we have some predefined unit vectors: I cap, j cap, and k cap. So if you see our coordinate system, x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis, I cap is the predefined unit vector which acts along, whose direction is along x-axis, j cap is along y-axis, k cap is along z-axis. So this means how it helps us to mention another physical quantity. So suppose I have written F1 vector is equal to 4 I cap. For 4 I cap, this means force is 4 Newton and it is acting along horizontal direction. You can see this. So suppose some vector I have written F2 vector is equal to 3J cap. This means force is 3 Newton and is acting along vertical direction. So with the help of unit vector, we can identify the direction of any vector. So for this, we will be using the predefined unit vectors I cap, j cap, and k cap. Moving to next. So basically, we have to focus on our topic, addition of vectors. So basic thing is that we have to understand how we can add up two vectors, because they are not getting added through algebraic laws. Through some definite laws, they are getting added. So we have to know those laws. One of the laws is triangle law. So triangle law basically says if head of a vector coincides with tail of another vector, then third side of the triangle. So suppose mn is vector and no is another vector, then third side will be mo. So mo vector will represent will be the sum of two vectors, and sum of two vectors we also say resultant. Whenever we say resultant, it means addition of vectors, right? So head of a vector coincides with tail of another vector, then third side of the triangle is resultant. So we can say mo vector is equal to mn vector plus no vector. So this is triangle law. Another popular law is parallelogram law. Parallelogram law, which says if head of a vector coincides with tail of two vectors coincides together. So you can see here mn vector and mp vector tail coincides. If tail of two vectors coincides, then a diagonal of the triangle will be resultant. So let me just make some correction here. So let me just make this as so mn vector is vector A and mp vector is vector B. This vector is vector B. So you can see in this diagram mn vector is vector A and mp vector is vector B, and both tail gets coincides at point M, and we have formed a parallelogram. See the diagonal of the parallelogram. Mo vector is sum of the two vectors. So we can say Mo vector is equal to mn vector plus no vector. So Mo vector we are writing as r vector. R vector is equal to vector A and vector B. The importance of this law is we get a formula to find the magnitude and direction of resultant. So if theta, suppose theta is the angle between vector A and vector B, and alpha is the angle between vector resultant and vector A, then we have a formula. We can derive this mathematically. I'm not going to derive it in this video. We'll utilize this as a formula. Resultant magnitude formula we have is equal to square root of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta. And for direction, we are using this formula. Tan alpha is equal to b sin theta by a plus b cos theta. So below I have written that if the tail of two vectors coincides, then diagonal of the parallelogram, right? Diagonal of the parallelogram. Okay, let me just write it again. So if tail of two vectors coincides, then diagonal of the parallelogram is the resultant. So with the help of parallelogram, we have a formula for magnitude as well as direction for resultant. So we are going to use this formula for our reference for solving the numerical. So I will so some special cases. So it is very clear that R depends on resultant depends on. So resultant depends on magnitude of A, magnitude of B, and theta also, angle between vector A and vector B. So if angle gets changed, resultant will change. So we'll see the special case first. If theta equal to 0 degree. So if angle between two vectors is 0 degree, this means two vectors are parallel to each other. So you can see in this diagram, 3 Newton and 4 Newton are two forces acting on a body along the same direction. So this is theta equal to 0 degree case. So if we put the formula theta value 0 in the formula r is equal to a square root of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta, we get as a result a plus b, because cos 0 is 1, right? Cos 0 is 1. So in this case, we have to just add up the resultant. So 3 Newton plus 4 Newton is 7 Newton will be the resultant value. So if two vectors are acting along same direction, we can add resultant with algebraic rule only. Simply they can be add up, right? If theta equal to 0. And also it is the maximum value of resultant, R max. Why? Because cos 0, cos theta maximum value is, cos theta maximum value is, cos theta maximum value is 1, which we are keeping in this case. So from 3 Newton and 4 Newton, maximum 7 Newton force you can get. Second special case is if theta is equal to 90 degree. 90 degree means both forces are 3 Newton and 4 Newton are acting perpendicular. You can see this diagram, acting perpendicular. So if you keep r is equal to theta equal to 90 degree in the formula, then you can get r is equal to a square root of a square plus b square, square root of a square plus b, because cos 90 is 0. So from 3 Newton and 4 Newton, the maximum value you will get as 5 Newton. Maximum value you get it at 5 Newton. So third case is if theta is equal to 180 degree. This means two vectors are anti-parallel, acting opposite along opposite direction. If you put theta equal to 180 degree in the formula, you get r is equal to a square root of a square plus b square. So a minus b ka whole square you will get. So finally we can say a minus b. So this is minimum value of resultant, because cos theta minimum value is -1. Cos theta minimum value is -1, which is I am writing in this case only, right? This is the minimum value. So in this case directly you can subtract, right? You can just say 4 minus 3, 1 Newton is resultant. So these are the special cases. So from 3 Newton and 4 Newton, maximum value we can get as 7 Newton. So for getting maximum value, you just add up two forces. You just add up. You say 7 Newton is the maximum value, and getting minimum value, you just subtract it. So 1 Newton. So you can know, right? You know that any function lies between its maximum and minimum. So this means resultant also is a function which lies between maximum and minimum. So r max less than equal to r I am writing, less than equal to r mean I am writing. Okay, this equation should be reversed. So I am writing any function lies. So r mean less than equal to r less than equal to r max. So resultant lies between its maximum and minimum value, and minimum we have seen a minus b, right? So a minus b less than equal to r less than equal to a plus b. So this is the mathematical form of writing resultant. So another special case we will discuss is in the third special case, right? When we see that theta equal to 100 degree, right? Theta equal to 180 degree. So we say r is equal to a minus b. R is equal to a minus b. So what if a equal to b? What if a is equal to b? What I'm saying is maybe two forces are acting on a body, and they are both are equal in magnitude and opposite direction. This might be a case. So we see this. So we have a body on which two forces are acting. One is let us say 4 Newton, and another is also 4 Newton. Another is also 4 Newton. So so let me just select the. So the case is 4 Newton and 4 Newton, right? 4 Newton and 4 Newton. So in this case, what will be the value of resultant? Resultant will be a minus b. So a equal to b, so 0. So we get 0 resultant, right? So this is a very special case. This means if two forces are acting and both are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, resultant will be 0. Resultant will be 0, right? Resultant will be 0. So this is the satisfying condition for 0 resultant. So let me just say, so if two vectors are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, then resultant is 0. Then resultant is 0. This is one of the conditions for 0 resultant. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much.